Crash Bandicoot, why won't you look at me when we make love anymore? I do everything I can to please you, and I don't understand why. Is anything I do enough for you, Crash? Tell me.
Hi, I'm Awfulness Games, and I hope you had a good Mother's Day like I did. I'm not a mom, but I got to spend time with my mom, so fuck it. Anyways, I've had fun talking about Sonic for I don't know how many times, so let me talk about another platforming giant. Allow me to introduce you to... Crash, 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 crash. Where do I begin with the orange marsupial himself? Well, looking back at his history, that's where. Back in the late 90s, we've had a bunch of platforming giants like Super Mario, Sonic the Hedgehog, and Donkey Kong Country. And Naughty Dog wanted to make a character like that after receiving a deal from Universal Studios to make games for the Sony PlayStation, because the Sony PlayStation desperately needed a mascot to help market the system. They had options like a wombat, a putaroo, or a bandicoot. Naturally, they went with Crash Bandicoot. The name is what you think it is. He smashes through crates and he's a bandicoot. Universal did want to push Willy the Wombat, but Naughty Dog didn't want it, so that's where we got Crash. Also, a fun, obscure fact, I'm pretty sure some people already know, is that the project name is called the Sonic's Ass Game, because, for the most part, you're looking at Crash's ass as you're playing. But it's not just his ass you're looking at. Sometimes you'll be looking at him from the side. Other times you're going to be looking at him from the front, as he's about to run away from a boulder that will kill him. What makes Crash stand out from the other platformers is that there are crates everywhere throughout the level. Regular crates, crates that give you extra lives, crates that contain fruit, TNT crates, and crates that contain a mask known as Aku Aku, which if you collect 3 of them, you can be invincible temporarily. But let's get to the story. A mad scientist named Dr. Neocortex and his assistant, Dr. Embryo, yes, it sounds like fetus, Crash Mind Over Mutant confirmed it. Anyways, back to the story. They needed an animal to become the general of their army for world domination, and naturally they chose Crash. Unfortunately though, the machine, the Cortex Vortex, fails, and Crash escapes, but oh no, his girlfriend Tawna has been left behind, so now he's gotta go back and go get her. The gameplay is what you would expect from a platformer, going from point A to point B. However, there's a catch to make it a tad more interesting. Do you see the crates everywhere that I mentioned earlier? Well, if you manage to break all the crates in certain levels, you get a gem. These gems are required if you want a completionist ending. However, keep in mind that not all gems can be obtained in one level. Sometimes you'll have to backtrack to certain levels that you were on earlier to get the gems. There are also tokens throughout the levels that contain a face of Tawna, Embryo, or Cortex. The Tawna and Embryo ones don't matter, they're just casual bonus rooms once you unlock them. Cortex, the 2 Cortex ones are very important because they give you keys, and the keys are actually required also for a completionist ending. Okay, I've talked about what I needed to talk about. Here's my personal experience with the game. There are quite a bit of criticisms I have with the original version on PlayStation. But first, let me tell you some of the hardest levels you're going to have to deal with. Road to Nowhere and the High Road are definitely the most infamous, and they are annoying, let me tell you. But I know a trick. The trick is to jump onto the rope precisely, like I failed right there. If you do that and just walk on the rope throughout the entirety of the level, you should be good. Slippery Climb is another hard level because you need precise jumping. One mess up and you're dead. Like, take a look. What makes Crash stand out from the other characters like Sonic the Hedgehog is that instead of embracing like the more Japanese art style that classic Sonic had, Crash Bandicoot instead opts for something you would see in like Looney Tunes. Especially, you could see inspirations for Tasmanian Devil in the spin attack. But now let's get to the final question. Does it hold up in 2026? No. But... okay, so the reason why I say no is because the only way to save your progress in the original PlayStation version is the Tana bonus rooms. For some reason. I know. But there is definitely an alternate way to play. It's official, and also it's actually pretty good. But before I tell you, I have to tell you what this is being played on. To stick with True Guns, this is the original PlayStation version, being run on RetroArch via PCSX Rearmed. DuckStation is a good alternative, but I personally prefer RetroArch. But as for the alternate way to play, Crash Bandicoot N. Sane Trilogy is definitely the best way to play the first game. Not only does it come with a fully remastered version of the first game, but you could also play Crash 2 and 3, which we're going to talk about in the future. And now we move on to the final score. I give Crash on the PS1 an 8 out of 10. There's definitely some flaws, but it's definitely a fun platformer to play when you're bored. And with that, that concludes the Crash 1 review, so thank you guys for watching. Crash 2 and 3 are definitely next, so bye!